Hey there, welcome back. It's Lauren from Rustic Honey, and today I want to bring you along as we work on some things around the farmhouse and we just have a good conversation about putting in the work. I'm going to take you through a quick breakfast. We're going to walk in the garden, and then I am also going to make a delicious coffee cake today, so stick around for that recipe. So speaking of work, our chickens have been hard at it, almost in overdrive lately with the eggs. So I've been trying to eat eggs every morning for breakfast and scrambling up a ton for the kids, trying to run through them as quickly as we can, and of course washing them, giving them away to the neighbors, making homemade mayo, whatever I can do to go through the eggs. But this morning I'm just making a simple English muffin sandwich. This is my sourdough English muffin that I had made back in our freezer videos, and I'm on the last couple this week in the freezer stash. So they have been delicious and have really come in handy. If you want to check out that video, I'll be sure to link it below. Our days have been pretty busy around here lately, as you can imagine, with 4 kids, one being a newborn, and we're just still slowly but surely getting into a rhythm around here. I think I've said that the last 3 videos, but that's just kind of how it goes, especially when you're in the newborn stage. I need to get out to the garden this morning and pick some of the cucumbers. With being so busy on the weekends, especially running to baseball games, it's easy for the garden to get away from us. The weeds pick up and the storms roll through, but mostly our garden has done really well this spring. Now I have to give like 99% credit to my husband for everything that's growing in this garden. So I pretty much sat on a chair and watched him plant things when I was 9 months pregnant and gave my input, made sure things were straight as he asked me for my opinion. But for the most part, he did all of the hard work here in this garden so far. Now, my hard work is coming soon. I know as soon as there are ripe tomatoes just in my kitchen daily, I will be overwhelmed with the amount coming from our garden, trying to watch 4 kids while also managing a household and putting up this harvest for the year. So it will be a lot of work ahead for me, for sure. But that brings me to a story I wanted to share with you. We were talking recently with my oldest. He's been doing some travel baseball, and we saw a neat video of a coach talking to a young team about his age. And the coach was explaining to the young team that, you always want your parents to buy you the fanciest uniforms and the coolest new cleats and the nice bats, but really the best things are free. And he got into I was like, oh yeah, well of course everyone knows that the best things in life are free. Like I thought he was gonna go that route, but what he said was the best things that you can do are free. You can do the push-ups, you can do the sit-ups, you can go running, you can hit the ball every day and work on your skills, and those things are all free to you. You don't need the fanciest equipment or the coolest new uniform. You basically just have to show up and do the work. And then I think it may have been a separate video, but they were talking about how if you work at something for 18 minutes a day, that you're essentially working over 100 hours a year on that skill. And so we had to share that with our son. And I thought, most people, like in the 90-some percentile of people, are not going to be so committed to something. And I think especially in this day and age where we are so accustomed to instant gratification, even the video we were watching of this coach telling his team this was a short video on YouTube or a reel. I mean, it was a quick win, right? I was like, oh, that was good. But if you don't take that advice and you don't actually do the work, then what was the point? What was the point of consuming that content? So I just thought that was such a good lesson, and I feel like something that you and I can learn from too. I mean, everyone wants a big garden, and everyone wants a year's worth of food that's been canned and preserved for your family, but no one understands or even thinks about sometimes. I shouldn't say no one, but I feel like most people do not understand that is so much work. And I want to continue to talk about this a little bit because although I say it like it's hard and it's a lot of work, but we all know that it's a worthy pursuit. Whatever it is that you're working on, it may not be growing food or canning or any of that. It could just be learning a new skill or working on a passion project. It could be anything, really. I just think it could be so helpful to ask ourselves, are we willing to do the free things? And are we willing to do the free things for 18 minutes a day? for the entire year and to see where we are and what kind of progress we can make towards those goals. As you can see, we not only have cucumbers in the garden, but lots of lettuce. I absolutely love using a salad spinner to get everything washed up, and then I do find that it keeps really well in the Ziploc bag with a little paper towel in there. It's a good little hack. So moving on to my coffee cake recipe. It is my grandmother's coffee cake recipe. It's like a poke cake, and it's just a tried and true, easy recipe that Grandma had always made. And anytime I've ever made it for an event or a gathering, everyone's always asking for the recipe. Honestly, it's a really easy recipe, and I find that a lot of Grandma's recipes started with a cake mix. She was just of that generation, and it's easy and simple. It's not always from scratch, but it is somewhat what I like to call semi-homemade, and that's what we're going with today. Now, I was just about to say that I have had quite the sweet tooth lately, and so I feel like I'm only making this because I had the ingredients lying around and it just sounded good. But look at me, I'm using 4 eggs, so I could also tie this into the fact that I have so many eggs, and this is one way to use up a few. Just look at all that protein. This is a high protein cake. Obviously, I'm just joking here. Not the healthiest cake, but stick with me, it's delicious. You're going to want to make this for a brunch or a potluck or something of the like in the future. Promise. So the base of this cake is just a yellow cake mix. We obviously added those 4 eggs. We're throwing in some oil and some sour cream. I had a ton of sour cream left over from an event that we did, so I thought actually that's why I decided to make this cake, because I had everything else and I don't usually have a bunch of sour cream. So I thought, let's put this together today. Sounds really good. Okay, the recipe is so simple. The hardest part of all of this is to split the batter evenly in half. So you put the first layer with half your batter down, and then you sprinkle it generously with some cinnamon, and then also very generously add brown sugar on top of that. And then we're going to take the top layer of the second half of the batter and put that on and try to spread it out so evenly. So I've messed this up a couple times. I mean, you can't really mess this up, but if you want it to look like a poke cake, you have to get it pretty even on the top. So make sure that your batter is split evenly in half, because the top part is a little bit hard to get spread out to cover the brown sugar. But again, you can't mess it up. Like, if it all gets blended together, it's still going to be delicious. I wouldn't worry too much about it. And we're going to throw this in the oven, and this is about the time that my kids smell something good in the kitchen and they're wondering what I am making. So as you can see, I've got my little princess here still in her pajamas that wanted to come in and make the glaze icing with me this morning. So we're going to measure out a little bit of powdered sugar. We're going to add in some vanilla and some milk, but first we're going to play in the powdered sugar as if it's sand, get it really compacted in there. We don't want anything fluffy. Now, I will leave all of the measurements for this recipe in the description box below as usual, but on something like a glaze, I rarely even measure. I just kind of eyeball it. I might add a little bit more powdered sugar to this just to get it the consistency that I like. It's a little bit thinner than a lot of the other glazes and icings that I make, because I'm going to pour it over the hot cake when it comes out, and I want it to seep through all of the holes, because this is in fact a poke cake. So I don't know if you want to call it a poke coffee cake. I think Grandma actually called it a honey bun coffee cake, but I think it's more of a poke cake because you poke little holes in it. I just use the back end of a butter knife to make all of the holes, and then while it's hot, like piping hot, just came out of the oven, you pour on that glaze and then get it to go in between all of those holes. It is such a delicious cake. It's, you know, all that icing goes down in there, and so it makes for a really moist cake. And it's just, I'm telling you, it's the life of the party. Everyone's going to want the recipe whenever you bring this. It could just be your friends with a sweet tooth like me, because it is a very sweet cake. I will say it's probably not going to win any awards for like the prettiest cake, but I promise it is delicious. You'll have to give it a try soon. Now, I have to laugh here. I'm trying to get the corner piece. The corner piece is the best because it just, the way that the glaze sets along the pan, it creates like this nice little crisp edge, and it's so delicious. Now, this is the part of the video when I get a really pretty view of the cake, and But this is what happens when you're trying to hold a baby and scoop out a piece of coffee cake at the same time. I've really been wanting to work on some more food photography and update my blog. I think I've been telling you guys that since January, and we're still not there. But in the meantime, I will keep flopping cake here on YouTube and sharing the recipe in the description box for now. So head on down there for the recipe. Now, I surely have 18 minutes to work on something today, and although I don't have a really big goal or skill that I'm honing at the moment, I am working on cleaning out and switching around our wardrobes. So I'm going to work on that while we tell you one more story about my son and his birthday. So he really wanted a guitar for his birthday, and we thought for months, like, he's gonna drop this. I don't know where this came from, but he stuck with it. He wanted a guitar so bad. So we found him a hand-me-down guitar for his birthday, and he was so excited when we gave it to him as a surprise for his birthday. He lit up like Christmas morning. He was just thrilled to strum away on this guitar. And of course, my husband and I know nothing about playing a guitar, so my first thought was, let's look up a YouTube video. Maybe there's something for kids. And lo and behold, we found a channel that had some good beginner videos. And he sat down and he went through lesson 1, and he, learned little things along the way, like the different chords, and he learned how to count and all the pieces and parts of the guitar. But he was so frustrated by the end of the first video. And I looked at him, and it was almost bedtime. I said, you know what? You're not going to learn this tonight. You're not even going to learn this tomorrow. It's going to take some time, and it's going to be a lot of hard work. But it will be so worth it in the end if you stick with it. I just think so often in our instant gratification world that we live in, people don't even pursue the hard things because they're hard, because they're a lot of work. But they are the things that honestly make us happy. They give us the self-esteem because we've achieved something that we worked so hard for. And I want that for my kids, because I do see that a lot in not only my generation, but in theirs. And I want them to work hard at something. I do want it to be something that they choose, of course, on their own. But I want them to understand that it's a worthy pursuit, and it is worth that 18 minutes every day to become skilled, to learn something new, or to reach that goal that they're going after. So what is it that you're working on? Please let me know in the comments below, and I hope that that message resonated with you. I know that going through that with my kids, it sure resonated with me and had me reflecting a lot this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, please subscribe to our channel. I love to share rustic recipes, country living, and our farm life along the way. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you back here again soon.